Los Angeles, 1991. A private dojo in Burbank. No cameras. Invitation only. Just 30 martial artists in a room that smells like old mats and new tension. And one question hanging in the air like smoke from a gun barrel. Is Jean-Claude Van Damme just another Hollywood pretty boy, or can he actually fight? The room is packed with legitimate fighters. Stunt coordinators who have worked on every action film that matters. Black belts who have earned their rank through blood and broken bones. Martial artists who have built careers on the difference between looking dangerous and being dangerous. All waiting to see if the Belgian guy from the movies can back up the hype under real pressure. The air is thick enough to choke on, heavy with skepticism and curiosity, and the particular energy that comes before something important happens. Van Damme walks in, 30 years old. 510, 180 pounds of coiled muscle and focused intent, moving like a cat. Like gravity is a suggestion he's choosing to follow. Black training pants, white tank top, barefoot, face calm as still water. Steven Seagal stands across from him. 64, 220 pounds. Aikido 7th Dan. The guy who trains FBI agents when they need to learn joint locks and control techniques. The guy who's never been taken down in demonstration. Who's made a career of being untouchable, unbreakable, the immovable object. The size difference is striking. Makes some of Seagal's students exchange glances that say this is going to be educational, that they're about to watch their teacher demonstrate why size and leverage matter more than flexibility and speed. One mutters just loud enough for the front row to hear. "This is the guy everyone's talking about." Another voice, sharper, more cutting. "If he's real, let's see it." Van Damme is the movie guy. Bloodsport, kickboxer. Films that made money but didn't earn respect from traditional martial artists. The one talking about full-contact tournaments and underground fights. Claiming he competed in kumite matches that may or may not have actually existed. If he fails here, if he gets exposed in front of every stunt coordinator and sensei who matters in Hollywood, his reputation doesn't just take a hit. It becomes a punchline. Another actor who couldn't back up the movie magic. Another choreographed fighter, pretending to be what these men have earned through discipline. Van Damme steps onto the mat. Seagal stands across from him, professional, controlled, but there's an edge in his posture, a challenge in the way he holds himself, and there's certainty in his voice when he says it. "You can't touch me." 3 seconds later, every martial artist in that room realizes they've been measuring the wrong thing their entire careers. But rewind. Seagal doesn't move yet, not from fear. From confidence. He spent decades mastering Aikido. The art of using an opponent's force against them. Joint locks that make bigger men tap. Wrist control that drops fighters to their knees. Circular movements that redirect energy. If this movie guy tries to force the issue, Seagal will demonstrate exactly why technique beats athleticism. Why understanding leverage matters more than spinning kicks. A fight choreographer stands at the edge of the mat. Clipboard forgotten in his hands. 2 directors from rival production companies watch with arms crossed. Faces skeptical. This isn't a movie set, this is real. Van Damme doesn't move, hands loose at his sides, breathing quiet and controlled. That's what makes it dangerous. That's what makes the smart people in the room start to question their assumptions. Seagal extends his hand, slow, deliberate, demonstrating wrist control, the foundation of Aikido. "Grab my wrist," he says, confident, almost bored. Van Damme doesn't grab, just looks at the extended hand, then at Seagal's face. Then asks in his thick Belgian accent, "Why?" The room shifts. That wasn't the expected response. Seagal's students look confused. Their teacher just offered a demonstration of fundamental technique, the standard opening, and this guy is questioning it. Seagal's jaw tightens slightly. "Because I'll show you why Aikido works." Van Damme nods slowly, understanding. "You show defense, but I don't grab and fight, I strike." Silence, complete silence. The challenge just shifted. From demonstration to something else, something more real. Seagal resets. "Fine, strike." Van Damme's head tilts slightly. "You sure? I've been doing this for 30 years, show me what you've got." Van Damme takes a breath, not from nerves, from preparation. His weight shifts almost imperceptibly. A micro-adjustment that the trained eyes in the room recognize as something significant, and he says 3 words that change everything. "Okay, don't blink." 1. Van Damme's lead leg chambers. Not high, not dramatic, just efficient. A knee raise that looks like the beginning of something but doesn't telegraph what. Seagal's hands move to intercept. Aikido response. Circular motion to redirect. His weight shifts to absorb what's coming. Textbook defense for a front kick. 2. The kick doesn't go where Seagal expects. Van Damme's leg extends at a 45-degree angle, not straight, not roundhouse, something between. The ball of his foot travels towards Seagal's lead thigh. A leg kick. Fast, precise. Seagal pivots. His circular motion designed to catch and redirect force. But the kick is already retracting. Already gone. It tapped Seagal's thigh. Light, controlled, a message, not an attack. 3. Before Seagal can reset, before his hands can return to guard, Van Damme's rear leg explodes forward, a push kick, teep. The sole of his foot touches Seagal's solar plexus. Not hard, just enough. Seagal stumbles backward 2 steps. 3. His balance breaks. His circular defense interrupted. His hands drop instinctively to his chest. His breathing stutters. The room goes completely silent. 5 seconds total, maybe 4. From don't blink to Seagal backing up. From challenge to answer. From theory to reality. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. What they just witnessed shouldn't exist in their understanding of how Aikido works, how defense works, how a smaller man handles a bigger trained opponent. Van Damme didn't grab Seagal's wrist, didn't engage in the demonstration Seagal wanted. He controlled the entire exchange with strikes that came from angles Aikido doesn't train to defend, standing in one spot like he was rooted to the earth itself. The fight choreographer's clipboard hits the floor. The sound echoes in the silence. He doesn't notice. He's staring at Van Damme like he's witnessing something that rewrites every fight scene he's ever mapped out. One of the directors uncrosses his arms slowly, mouth slightly open, staring like he's watching a magic trick he can't figure out, trying to replay the sequence in his mind, trying to break it down into components that make sense within his framework of how combat works. A sensei in the second row. A man who's been teaching traditional martial arts for 25 years stands up slowly and walks closer to the mat, not protesting, not angry, just shocked. His entire understanding of defense, of circular motion, of how trained fighters engage just got questioned. Everything he thought was fundamental just showed its limitations. Seagal drops his hands completely. He stands there breathing through his mouth, trying to process what just happened. Staring at Van Damme like he's seeing something for the first time that he can't quite categorize or fit into his decades of training and teaching and demonstration. He's been training since he was a teenager, studied in Japan under masters who don't accept foreigners easily, earned 7th Dan through years of discipline, built a reputation as someone who understands leverage better than almost anyone in the martial arts community. Someone other fighters study when they want to understand control techniques. Someone Hollywood calls when they need authentic Aikido. And in 5 seconds, maybe 4, this Belgian movie star just showed him a gap in his game, demonstrated without arrogance or disrespect that Aikido's defensive brilliance has blind spots. That circular motion requires the opponent to engage in a specific way. And what happens when they don't? Van Damme steps back, his posture relaxing like a cat that's finished playing, and offers a small nod, not smug, not condescending, not gloating or celebrating, just acknowledgement, a simple gesture of respect between martial artists who understand what just transpired. Seagal doesn't feel embarrassed. That's the strange part, the part that surprises him most about his own reaction. He doesn't feel humiliated or angry or defensive or any of the emotions he expected. He feels something else entirely. Curiosity. Deep bone-level curiosity that goes beyond style or who won or lost. And respect. The kind of respect that shows up when you realize the map you've been reading your entire career is incomplete, that there are entire territories you didn't know existed. And someone just handed you a compass that points to them. He walks up to Van Damme, every eye in the room locked on them. Every person present knowing they're witnessing something that will be talked about for years, that will become legend in the small circles where these stories matter. Show me that again. Van Damme's answer is calm, almost gentle, like a teacher explaining a simple concept to a curious student. You want to learn, Seagal doesn't hesitate, doesn't need to think about it. Doesn't need to protect his pride or reputation or the image he's built over decades. Yes, Van Damme smiles, not the smile of someone who just proved a point or won an argument or demonstrated superiority, the smile of someone who found what he was looking for, who just discovered that even masters can stay students. Then we train. Van Damme explains it once, and it rewires Seagal's entire understanding of defensive strategy. Most traditional defensive arts assume the attacker will commit fully to a single technique. They'll grab or they'll punch or they'll kick, and the defender responds to that commitment with circular motion or redirection or joint manipulation. But modern fighters, street fighters, competitive fighters, they don't commit like that. They feint, they probe, they throw combinations, they attack from angles that classical techniques weren't designed to defend. The low kick to the thigh wasn't an attack, it was a distraction. A range finder, a way to occupy the defender's attention and hands, create a micro moment where the real strike can land unopposed. Economy of motion means no wasted energy, no excess movement, everything stripped down to its essential core. You collapse the gap between intention and impact, make the distance between thought and action disappear. Seagal listens like his reputation depends on understanding every word. His entire framework for defense is being rebuilt from the foundation up. Van Damme isn't lecturing or posturing. There's no arrogance in his voice. He's genuinely curious about what Seagal knows because Van Damme has a problem he can't solve alone, a gap in his own game that frustrates him. His kicks are surgical. His flexibility is world-class. His full contact experience is legitimate. But his joint locks are basic, not terrible, just basic. And Seagal's joint locks are legendary. Everyone in that room knows it. Everyone has seen Seagal take bigger men down with wrist control that looks effortless. They start training together. Van Damme's gym in West Hollywood. No cameras, no journalists, no audience. No witnesses to what happens when two masters decide to tear down their egos and build something new. Just two men, heavy bags, mats, and an obsessive desire to get better. Van Damme brings his flexibility training, the splits, the stretching routines that border on torture, the kicks that come from angles most people's bodies can't achieve. Seagal brings his Aikido precision, the joint locks, the leverage principles, the understanding of how the human body breaks under specific pressure points. They spar for hours, shirts soaked with sweat, muscles burning, pushing each other past what they thought possible. It's not master-student, it's partnership. Two equals trading knowledge like currency. And that's what makes it rare. Most legends don't train with each other. They train at each other, competing, protecting their secrets, guarding their egos. Van Damme and Seagal do the opposite. They open up, they share. They fail in front of each other and admit when something doesn't work. One day, Van Damme throws a spinning hook kick at Seagal's head, full speed. The kind of kick that's knocked people unconscious in tournaments. That's ended street fights in one rotation. Seagal catches the leg mid-spin, ankle in hand, like a steel trap, and shows Van Damme the exact wrist lock principle from that first night, the mechanics he uses to control and redirect force. This time Van Damme feels it from the inside, understands the angle, the pressure point, the way Seagal's grip creates leverage that makes resistance impossible, sees how the circular motion compounds the pain until the only option is to tap or break. They drill it 50 times until Van Damme can execute it himself, until his body knows the movement without thought. Seagal grins, sweat dripping. Now you have it too. Van Damme catches his breath. But you still can't kick above your waist. Seagal's smile fades, his jaw tight. I know. One afternoon they're drilling high kicks, blazing sun, shirts off, legs burning. Seagal throws a side kick at the bag, controlled, technical, clean, stops at shoulder height, can't go higher. His hip flexibility won't allow it. He curses, frustrated. Van Damme steps in, adjusts Seagal's stance, pushes his hips forward slightly, rotates his standing foot 20 degrees, tiny adjustments. Barely visible, but they change everything. Now try. Seagal resets, chambers, fires. The kick goes 6 inches higher, head level, power maintained. The bag swings like it was hit by a car. Seagal looks at Van Damme, wonder in his eyes. You just gave me 8 inches. Van Damme grins. You gave me control I didn't have. That's the trade. They're teaching each other how to think differently, how to see martial arts as conversation where the best listener wins, how to stay humble when the world calls you master. Universal Studios, 1995. Behind the sound stages, they're both shooting films on the lot. Van Damme rapping Street Fighter, Seagal finishing Under Siege 2. They meet between takes, trade techniques, work through problems. The crew watches them drill combinations that blend Aikido circles with Muay Thai angles, wrist locks flowing into spinning kicks, joint manipulation setting up knee strikes. The stunt coordinators take notes. This is evolution happening in real time. This is what happens when masters refuse to stay in their lanes, but there's one sequence. The flying armbar counter near the end of their session, where something shifts, where the line between training and testing blurs. Van Damme shoots in for a takedown, full speed, real intent. Seagal sprawls, catches the arm, rotates into an armbar. They've done this exact combination 100 times in controlled drills, in safe environments, in rehearsals, but this time for maybe 4 seconds it stops being practice. It stops being friendly. The pressure is real, the speed is real. The impact points are millimeters from being dangerous, from ending careers or worse. Van Damme's shoulder hyperextends. He can feel the joint starting to give, starting to scream. Seagal's lock is perfect, textbook, exactly where it needs to be to make tap or break the only options. Van Damme doesn't tap. Uses flexibility that shouldn't exist. Rotates his body in a way that creates space, escapes, spins into a heel hook attempt that makes Seagal's eyes go wide. The crew goes completely quiet. Camera crew, directors, everyone frozen, holding their breath. They just watched 2 masters speak a language most people don't know exists. A language written in movement and trust and years of shared sweat and failure and breakthrough. When the session ends, they both know something shifted. Something crossed a line. Not in a bad way. In a way that proves the work is real, that the respect is earned, that this partnership has forged something genuine. The lesson isn't about who won the exchange that night in 1991. It's about what happens when you're good enough to be dangerous but smart enough to stay teachable. Van Damme walked into that dojo with everything to prove and nothing to protect. His reputation was on the line, but his ego wasn't in the way. Seagal could have defended his turf, protected his reputation, dismissed Van Damme as another movie star playing martial artist. Instead, he chose the harder path. He chose growth over comfort. So here's the question, and it's more specific than ego versus growth. When someone showed you a level you didn't know existed, when they made you look at your craft and realize you'd been missing something fundamental, did you protect your pride, or did you say, "Show me"? Did you defend what you'd already built, or did you risk it for something greater? Because that's the difference between being good and being a master. Masters never stop being students. They never stop asking, "Show me." They never stop trading knowledge with people who can make them better. If this hit, subscribe. Your show me moment might be next.